Chandra's depths.
It's paradise. What happened here?
Gods, I can't believe this.
Are we back in Dawnshore? Already?
This is Sapadol's doing. I'm certain of it. No power in Aedyr could transport us so quickly, or so far. What happened to the living land started long ago, and we're going to finish it.
Are you seeing this? I don't think Paradise looked like this when we left it.
Looks like the war already started, and the giant roots are winning.
Marius, vines don't usually get that big this quickly, do they?
Based on their growth and size, I'd say we've been gone 2 or 3 weeks.
For once, I wish I wasn't. Who knows if the garden affected time, or merely our perception of time? Assuming there's even a difference.
It's like how a body fights an infection. The fever gives you strange dreams that feel like an eternity.
Look at this place. Feels like we're still in the dream. And not just us. Those are more your people's ships in the harbor, and steel garrote banners past the barricades. That can't be good.
Even Reingrim is here. Perhaps we'll get to see an Archmage in action.
I think I see Elia as well. What a strange reunion this will be.
The Blessed Wardens are here too. That conflict we've been trying so hard to prevent started without us.
It's who strikes last that counts.
The Steel Garrote have been itching for a fight this whole time. This would have happened with or without us.
Before we go, what happened back there with the Dream Scourge and Sapadol?
I'm not sure. That's good, right?
It's a relief that the Dream Scourge won't be a problem. I only hope we can say the same about Sapadol. Time will tell, I suppose.
After all this time, they're free. And the living land is free to heal.
We've cured the land, and we've even freed a caged god. All in all, rather a successful day.
You've saved the soul of the living lands. Now the survivors fight over its bones. We should take a look. See if we can get ahead of whatever storm is brewing down there.
People seem to be gathering west of here. Whatever's happening, let's be a part of it.
With no... Envoy! What does the Garrote think they're doing? What's the point of exploring if you just want to plant your flag everywhere? They broke some glass, but the map is safe. They didn't think I was worth the trouble. If you're looking for survivors, a few of us fled to the Balrog.
How many?
I'm not sure. I saw Sapiento. Gods, I hope they're not trapped in there. I am sorry I can't be more help. I won't give them the satisfaction of killing me.
We should move. Let's hope the Garrote hasn't made it to the Balrog yet.
Envoy, wait! Before you go, I may have something for you. I took some supplies when I ran. If you think they'll help, they're yours. I'll even give you a discount. You know, for saving the city and everything.
Why is there snow here? A familiar face. We meet again, Envoy. And you, Yardsley. You're always a prodigious and welcome sight.
Oh, yes. Always a pleasure to see you, too.
Paradise burns, thanks to Ludwine and the Steel Garrote laying siege to it. But the Dream Scourge is gone.
She must have come back to life. Again. I suppose we couldn't be lucky enough for her to stay dead.
It's remarkable how hard you mortals fight for causes that'll be forgotten within centuries. Still, I do think the world has been irrevocably, if minimally, changed by your actions. A tsunami inevitably rejoins the ocean as simple water. The analogy only really works if you're mortal, and I'm not. Perhaps a new god being set loose on the world is certain to have consequences. Mostly, I'm curious about whether you think you've made the right choice. Ah, that mortal zeal. Always so fun. We will see if you're correct. I am interested in seeing the outcome of your story, Envoy. With luck, it won't end with you also on fire. Unfortunately, you'll likely be dead the next time I return to the Living Lands. Goodbye, Envoy. And Yardsley, I do look forward to when all of this is done. I am eager to work with you.
Yes, of course. I look forward to working with you.
My research awaits.
What happens in Donshore shall ripple across the living land. Oh, Envoy, how good to see you here as we stand together at the brink of this historic event. I don't know if thank you is precisely what I want to say, but I am grateful to you for bringing Dolna's theft to light. Paradise burns from the torches of the Steel Garrote. The people of the Living Lands stand ready to defend their home. Yes, what happens in Paradise now will decide the fate of the Parkrunen after all.
What's the plan if Paradise falls?
We will find a way to persevere. We Parkrunen have a gift for surviving inhospitable conditions, and always have. Whatever the outcome of the upcoming battle, do not forget us. I fear that more than our deaths. If Aedyr and the Steel Garrote have their way, they'll strip the history books of any mention of our culture and our ways. Future generations will only ever know us as an appendage of the Empire. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope so, Envoy. I truly do. That's as much as I'll say. You have a role in deciding what happens next. Do the right thing, Envoy. Let history remember you for the correct reasons.
Giata, where have you been? Envoy, I knew you'd show up eventually.
It's good to see a familiar face. How are you?
My revenants were just getting comfortable in Thirdborn when the Steel Garrote stepped out of line. When I heard tensions were brewing, I thought to myself, this is a job for the undead. So I gathered the flock. Likewise, I'll keep them on a tight leash, just in case the Steel Garrote breach our defenses. Better to have them and not need them. Oh, and I've been meaning to thank you. Whatever you did in the garden seems to have worked. My revenants are docile again. No more rude displays of aggression. I couldn't be more proud. Indeed, the metaphysical currents of the living lands are beginning to settle. Before I let you go, one small reminder. Should you fall in battle, I'm ready to claim what's rightfully mine. Good, you remembered. You'd be surprised how many people try and forget their contractual obligation. Once you join the flock, you won't feel a thing. But that won't be for a while yet. Fingers crossed.
Apologies, but I intend to keep my friend alive for as long as possible.
Just don't try too hard. I can't wait forever, you know.
Well, at least we know Aedyr will take good care of you.
Best of luck out there. And don't worry about a thing. My flock will keep us safe and secure.
Thank you, Aedyr. My compliments to the flock, as always.
Enjoy the time with your...
We know you. Did you help us?
We see
Things moved fast while we were... Envoy? Is it really you? Mihala told us you went into some place called the Garden to seek a god?
When you didn't return, we took you for dead.
What did you see there? The god you felt in Nakutadek?
The origin of the Dream Scourge? It was the act of a god this whole time?
Everyone, please, please. We could get to the bottom of this if you would only let them speak.
It's been weeks, Envoy. What happened?
Sapadol was responsible for the Dream Scourge. Their rage, their confusion, their fear.
But the plague isn't over. Dream Thralls still litter Shatterscarp.
There won't be any new infections. We've put a stop to that for good. Unfortunately, there's little we can do for those already in the grip of the Dream Scourge. We can give them comfort, nothing more. This will be a process. The Dream Scourge was never going to simply go away overnight.
I suppose it stands to reason. I found that a quick fix is often anything but. What of this god, then? What does it mean that you freed them? Ludwig had intimated that this land grew a new god. But how can that be?
Giada and I have some theories about the nature of the Aedyr in the living lands.
I'd say we're past the point of theorizing.
If the Aedyr here is a closed system, like a terrarium for our souls, then a gradual accumulation of essence could coalesce into a being in the beyond.
Much like the formation of gemstones. All it takes is time and the right application of pressure.
Boudica no doubt saw Sapadol as a threat to her authority. So, she killed the godless and imprisoned their god.
I assume it is this god we have to thank for the roots tearing apart Paradise? They erupted from the earth the moment those bastards stood up their first siege tower.
Nakutadek was riven with those things, not to mention what they did to the land.
We saw similar destruction at Nakukubel. If these roots and the Dream Scourge are the work of a god, and the gods thought it best to imprison this god, how could you let such a creature go free?
For now. Who's to say they don't get their feathers in a ruff again and wipe us all out with a tsunami?
It was Aedyr's arrival that disturbed Sapadol. We'll have nothing to fear from this god once we expel you from our lands.
Sapadol's power ravaged my people. I don't know that I can ever trust it.
Keeping watch over Sapadol was a sacred task Nandru gave us when he left. For that reason alone, my wardens owe them their allegiance.
Well, whatever happens, I suppose we can't put the godling back in the bottle now. But come, we have more pressing matters to attend to. The Steel Garrote have attacked Paradise. Inquisitor Ludwig has already joined the battle. She must have traveled like the wind to get here so fast.
You did. I kicked her corpse when you weren't looking. Just to be sure.
Well, she's seen better days, but you wouldn't know it judging by how she fights.
Ludwig's plowed through the militia like a knife through warm butter.
All right, let's keep the similes to ourselves. Oh, cheer up. You wouldn't be the first to make that mistake. Might not be the last either, depending on how things go. So long as her passion for Boudica lives, so too will her spirit.
Then we destroy her faith, and the rest of her will follow. I have a theory about this. Let's talk at camp if you want to hear it. But I think we can kill her.
Oh, good. That will be easy.
It is not, I think, impossible. Well, you might not believe me, but I didn't want any of this to happen. It was Ludwig who called for the attack.
I didn't hear an answer, Ambassador.
She and her Steel Garrote laid siege to the city, shortly after you beat her to the garden.
Well, that's been a point of debate. We can't agree on how to stand against the Steel Garrote, nor who should lead the effort.
Nobody wants to risk their people at the front.
So you let the Paradis militia go it alone?
Even if our meager forces should make it inside.
The siege won't end until Ludwig does. And none of you know how to kill her.
Precisely.
Because a victory here would discourage resistance elsewhere. The better question is, why didn't you stop her?
Excuse me? She's a 7-foot-tall skeleton powered by her devotion to the goddess of retribution. This isn't my fault.
Sure. Just blame the dead woman. Very mature.
Who else should I blame exactly? Our envoy, perhaps? For not stopping Ludwig and the Tusks?
You could start with blaming your own incompetence.
Ludwig's the muscle. I'm merely the personality. What was I supposed to do? Frown her into submission?
What good are you as a diplomat if you can't even keep your own beast under control?
The Inquisitor was so convinced the Living Lands would unite against Aedyr that she's nearly made it true. One people, one law, one true God. That's Ludwig's vision for the Living Lands.
The Inquisitor answers only to Boudica. In attacking Paradis, she has dragged us all far beyond the bounds of the Emperor's desires.
I've answered your questions. Now I would like you, all of you, to answer mine. Ludwig has sent a message to the Emperor informing him of her attack. He will send advisors and reinforcements swiftly in response. What will his representatives find when they arrive? A new colony? A budding grave room? Before you face Ludwig, you should know what you're fighting for. All of you must decide, together. But whatever you decide, understand, the days of the frontier are done. Aedyr will come. Indeed, we are already here. The Living Lands would retain its own laws under a grave appointed by the Emperor. The grave would be expected to promote and develop the Living Lands to our mutual benefit. They would divide the island into administrative districts and see them governed by mayors appointed from the local communities. The island would provide tribute in the form of resources and taxes, and in times of war, soldiers. The Empire, I should note, is nearly always at war. In return, the Living Lands would enter Aedyr's sphere of influence, and should outside nations attempt to invade, we would come to the Grave Room's aid. Naturally, that would be the Emperor's decision. But I suspect he would choose you. Only the strong survive the frontier. I used to believe that was Ludwig. But you were born to rule here. Quite literally. You're the obvious choice. There is no Aedyran who knows this place better than you.
Tribute, he says. Taxes. Soldiers. The Empire has tried it all before. Look to the Eastern Reach if you don't believe me. They want to bleed us dry, to fill their coffers and fight their wars, to break us like wild animals. But I will not bend.
It's still a gamble, but I think it's the safest bet. We'd get the benefits of Imperial trade and protection without losing all of what makes this place special. There's no way of knowing what it would mean in another generation or two. But right now, it gives us the security and stability to recover.
We were fine before Aedyr showed up, and we'll be fine when they're gone. Trust the lands and her people, Envoy.
If we give Aedyr power over us, we can't be surprised if they decide to flex it later.
Son, pernicious. Touch the rot, yet the disease remains. Safety among spiders. A web gleaming with dew. They weave, they wait.
We give up our fighters and the wealth of our lands, and get promises in return. But we have wealth enough to give some away, if it means my wardens may return to their vigil in peace.
A grave rum could work, so long as trade keeps moving through the Scarp and you're willing to serve as our go-between envoy. And we'll have cannons enough to deter the adherents from trying anything stupid.
When the Empire demands its tribute, from where will it come? Emerald Stair is not the breadbasket it was, and the dream of yore is now deferred. If we accept this deal, I fear we are building a trap certain to catch our own legs.
Of course. The Living Lands would become an extension of the Aedyran Empire in leadership and law. Soldiers bearing the flag of Aedyr would be garrisoned in every town. They would be paid in Aedyran shelling and speak only the Aedyran language. Their roads would be smooth Aedyran roads. Their medicine would be hygienic Aedyran medicine. And their weapons would be efficient Aedyran weapons. Our customs would become their customs. Our strengths would become their strengths. Our emperor would become their emperor. Turned toward a common purpose. No one, not Rauatai, not the Vailian republics, not even a rogue god, would dare attack the Living Lands. This island would be safe for the first time in its history, and safe it would remain. Of course. Oh, envoy, no. Do not suggest that lightly. Think of the Emperor. There would be reprisals. Ones which this conclave could not survive, fractured as you are. Not unless you came together and formed a nation of your own. It would be difficult. No, impossible. I'm certain you would fail. Think of your people, all of you. Think of the lives at stake.
We deserve our autonomy, even if we must fight for it. Anything less would be surrender.
Fleeing someone else's laws and authority is one thing, setting up your own is another. We're an island of misfits and dissidents. We'll still have to surrender some of our autonomy, and we won't agree on what that means overnight. We'll be vulnerable. Without allies, other powers will see us as ripe for the picking. Know that this is a hard road to walk.
We were fine before Aedyr came. We'll be fine when they're gone.
I think we ran things perfectly fine before your kin got here.
Though I'm hardly eager to work with any of you. I like the idea of twisting beneath Aedyr's boot heel even less. So long as the Wardens can continue our vigil. I'm open to uniting, if you are.
It's a nice idea, but consider the costs. If we walk away from a relationship with Aedyr, we're leaving a lot of trade on the table. But the people of Thirdborn have friends in the world. I'm sure we'd find our way through.
With the envoy's support, we'd have a god in our pocket. What could the Empire do to stop us? Together, we could repair Fjord and create such miracles of animancy the Living Lands will become the envy of the world. It would be the honor of my life to stand with my people beside you all.
Rest into bounty. Does the winter frost dissuade the seeds? Many fruits on our boughs. We graft many leaves into strength.
Well, let's not twiddle our thumbs while Paradis burns. Oh, gods have mercy.
Solus and her wardens stand vigil with the Living Lands.
By grit and steel, Thirdborn stands with the Living Lands.
Fjord and her animancers stand with the Living Lands.
We deserve this opportunity. Thank you for believing in us.
Fighting a battle together is easy. I just hope everyone's willing to stick it out when it comes to the politics.
God, they made the right decision for once.
Finally, some sense permeates the proceedings.
On your head be the consequences. That leaves the matter of Ludwig and the Steel Garrote. She will never surrender, envoy. You must kill her, or we will lose Paradis, and eventually the island.
The Living Lands will never be free until we break the chain around our necks. Ludwig must die her final death.
She better say her goodbyes while she can.
I'm proud to fight at your side, envoy. One last time.
Let's get to work then. We've got a walking corpse to bury.
The Paradis militia will be at your back. Give her no quarter. The future waits for you.
Thank you for deserving it. Now, go and teach the Steel Garrote a lesson they will never forget.
Show them that the Living Lands will not be broken across Vodka's knee.
We will send reinforcements to help you reclaim the Eastern Gate. From there, work your way to the main plaza. Let's just say this is not my first brush with a tyrannical authority, though. I pray it is my last. May all the gods of Aedyr and the Living Lands protect you.
Let's take back the city together. Show the Steel Garrote how the Living Lands takes care of its own.
Let's go free a city, shall we?
Can't sleep? Neither can I. We're going into battle for the soul of the Living Lands, rallying under the banners of the Paradis militia. Indeed. When a godlike fights in battle, people take note of which side. The Aedyrians will doubt your loyalty. The locals will doubt your commitment. You may even doubt yourself. This is the first time you were told to pick a side. And I fear it won't be the last. Only a little bit. Just enough to keep me up at night. From what I understand, your ambassador is very persuasive, very powerful, and very accustomed to getting his way. For a politician like him, losing a battle is not a defeat. It's an opportunity. When he promises you the world, don't listen. He'll fill your head with lies if you let him. I'm glad we understand each other. It's good to see you fighting for the misfits and rabble-rousers. Time for you to get some rest. In truth, I'm not as worried as I used to be. I've been thinking about the Inquisitor. Formulating a theory, you might say. A Death Guard clings to their existence by force of will. Stubbornness, unfinished business, that sort of thing. Ludwig is held together by faith, and that may be her undoing. Precisely. Faith is the foundation of her reality. Faith in the righteousness of the gods. But according to her faith, Sapadol should not exist. A new god independent of hers? Blasphemy. By that logic, you shouldn't exist either. And yet here you are. That's my point, exactly. I think you already have. You are the godlike of a heretical god. A contradiction to her reality. Can you imagine how much she needs you to die? Her entire worldview depends on it. Who knows? Maybe that uncertainty is enough to make her mortal again. Or maybe not. I'm just theorizing as I go. Whatever happens, I want to see it for myself. For the research,